What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. Thank you for checking out our channel once again. Leicester have just drew 0-0 to Prague. Wasn't the best performance today, to be perfectly honest with you. Prague, again, we'll talk about that in a bit more detail, but over to you, Alex. What are your initial thoughts of the match?
Solid first half of the performance, lacked in the second half. Overall, deserving draw, in my opinion. We had the opportunities to capitalize, and in the end, we didn't. So, it's going to be an exciting, when they bring it back to Leicester City to play the second leg of this.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And again, we'll get on to the exactly thing. Again, Matt, so quickly, thank you for the comments. Matt says disappointed. AC, I don't know how to pronounce that. ACZ says a big mess up in my opinion. You see, we'll get on to the first thing. So let's talk about the lineup first of all. What were your initial thoughts of the game? Because when we first set up with the lineup, obviously we have Ricardo out, Justin's obviously out, Stanya's out, Perez is out, Fofana is out, Morgan is out. These are quite a few players. Just see, Anton, we'll come on to there in a bit. Thank you for all your comments. They're flying in right now, and we really appreciate it. But what were your thoughts? Because that's pretty much the strongest lineup that we had going into that game.
Yeah, that's all you can do at this point. We're kind of in this deficit with the amount of injuries mounting. So, it was I think we were discussing this previously, where it was kind of expecting, at this point, you're going to have to bring in whoever you have to face off against these clubs. And, we did what we did, and we did what we could in the end. It's really not much to say because, we've had a severe amount of injuries. And, that kind of puts Rodgers in a corner, and he needs to decide on who he's going to start. I think he did an excellent job in bringing Vardy out at 60 minutes because I don't think you can play Vardy for a full 90 minutes today and then a full 90 on Sunday. So, when it comes to the lineup and who Rodgers decided to, put in and, start, I think you have to give him credit for that because, and I've said it before, in these types of situations, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it was, again, the strongest thing we could have done. And it was what we were talking about. What's he going to do? Is he going to go for a full-strength lineup? Is he going to use some of the under-23s? He went for pretty much the strongest team imaginable. There's one comment from Elliot that I just want to get onto at the moment. I know that will set you off, so I'll let you go first. Borderline corruption, and I know exactly where you're going with that, and I know what you're talking about. For a strong Slavic team, if you're ever Prague fans, you're watching, I mean, we don't get that level of fouling in the Premier League. Fouling, I should say, in quotation marks. Just over to you, Alex, and your thoughts on the amount of non-tackles and non-injuries that were constantly cropping up all over the pitch.
It was absolute malarkey. That's the PG version of saying what I was thinking. But no, the officiating was terrible. It just seemed like every single opportunity where, Slavia could, take a dive or whatnot, they were. I've never seen so many players on a pitch in my life. And, any opportunity, where Leicester seemed to have the ball and took possession and started moving upwards and ended up getting fouled, they completely were oblivious to it. And I think one of the key ones that I'm thinking of is Maddison getting full-on rugby tackled. And nothing happened. I had to do a double take because I'm like, am I watching American football? I'm so used to seeing these types of tackles in other sports. You see it in football, and you're like, what? That's got to be a yellow to have nothing happen. And then, you have Nacho come on and immediately get a yellow, which, pushes him out for the second leg of this match for what? And you got this Slavia Prague player lying down on the ground as if he's, been shot in the chest 30 times. You might as well bring out the stretcher and just pull him off to the morgue. What absolute malarkey that is. So, just it's incredibly frustrating. And I think that's one of the things I am most frustrated about this match is that the officiating was just downright terrible. And there's no need for that in football. It just makes watching the game just entirely more irritating.
Yes, and it's one of the things that I think has been kind of pushed away in the Premier League. Is people know football is diving, and they are right to a certain extent where people don't really pay too much attention to the diving. However, in this kind of game, you saw that there's a massive difference between what happens in the Premier League and what happens in Europe, for example. We didn't even see it that much when we played in against Sola Hansk in the group stages. It wasn't as bad as this. But again, what was strange is that we went into halftime. Kind of, there wasn't a lot of things to really comment on. Some big chances in the first 5 minutes, could have put a couple away. We should have potentially put a couple away, but the team weren't really firing, and everything good in that first half. And even the second half, going forward, was coming from one man, Harvey Barnes. So he didn't have the most amazing performance today, but how do you think he did?
I think he was the best player on the field, for either team. You got to give him credit. Anytime he had the opportunity, he took the ball and he moved forward. He could have easily scored 2 in the first half, and I think he almost had the opportunity to get another one in the second half. And that's just it's just the one thing. You got to give it to Barnes on that. It was, he did a really good job. Unfortunately, he didn't capitalize, and that would have been really great to see, especially in the last couple minutes. But we move forward and we look at Aston Villa this week, and we look at the second leg next week.
Yeah, we'll have to go into that, and I think that was a lot of thinking. Again, managers say one match at a time. You have to take it a week at a time, especially when you've got Europa League. So there's a reason why he dragged Vardy at 60 minutes. There's a reason why he dragged He dragged Ndidi. He dragged Albrighton, I think, as well. Just so he goes, right, we'll settle for the draw. I think the plan was to hit him early, get the goal, and then just relax into the game and try and chill. And they didn't really do that. A lot of people are saying disappointed results. And again, Ndidi was weirdly terrible today. Don't think so. Ndidi was okay. He wasn't his prime. He wasn't his best. They obviously came out with something. But at the same time today, it was not a great performance. However, if Brendan Rodgers says, if you can't win, don't lose. And that's something that I think was obvious from about 45 minutes onwards. Again, normally in second halves, Leicester come out to play. In the second half, we didn't really do that. And I remember after the first 5 minutes thinking, Prague are looking a bit dangerous. They weren't actually looking that dangerous. They weren't peppering the goal. They weren't attacking us. However, they were allowed to come into the game, which I was probably the most annoyed at.
Yeah, and like you said, the first half, we were, it looked like we could really capitalize. And, the fact that we weren't able to do that, yeah, it's upsetting. But, and we kind of took a back seat in that second half, which was concerning, because in that type of situation, I was kind of waiting for the ball to drop and we were, going to go down by 1. But I think if you can look at a positive in this situation is that, going into the second leg, it's still 0-0, and we're bringing it home. We're bringing it home to our stadium where, we dictate. And I think that's huge. They don't have any of their, home, they don't have any home advantage in this aspect. They don't have any crowds, even how small they were. They're going to be, at the King Power, and that's going to be something for Leicester, and that's going to, give us that advantage. And I think that's really going to be something that they're going to use to their advantage, because I think this game, it was more of a surprise where I think they were expecting to maybe get by a little bit easier, and then they were kind of surprised to see what happened. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen in that second half, in that second leg. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And especially, could be, as you're saying, coming home would be a really good thing. Doug's put a comment again. Thank you, Doug. Well done on 1K once again. So thank you for that. And thank you for the comment. Considering that Slavia won 4-1 away and home to Celtic, you would take a 0-0. And I totally agree. This is the kind of thing that you say, it's a 0-0 draw. We take the points back to the stadium and we beat them. Because we try and beat them. We don't know with this Leicester team what's going to exactly happen. But overall, a bit disappointed. There were certain players that didn't really turn up today. Again, I think Ndidi's been mentioned before. People are saying he's poor. I don't think he was poor. I just don't think he was quite at it today. Same with Tielemans. Again, there was some good moments, but nothing really to shout about. And then there is not really anything. There wasn't really too many players. I think Luke Thomas was one player that came in today. I think coming up against Seema, who was huge, by the way, and the difference in size. Again, he got turned inside out a few times. However, I think he did not. I think a decent 6 out of 10. It could have gone a lot worse for him.
Yeah, and you also got to give him credit because he hasn't played a lot this season. So, he's being slotted into this position, and he's been kind of given this, hey, good luck. And, it could, like you said, it could have gone completely the opposite way. He could have just been turned inside out, left, right, and center for the entire game, and that didn't happen. So I think you got to give credit to, Thomas for that. Soyuncu was another one. I thought he was quite impressive, which is good to see. And Casper is always is a shout out that you can always give, because he's always reliable and he's always there to play. One player I do want to just, he didn't have a good game in my opinion, was Under. He came on, and I was expecting big things, because this is the type of football that he's used to playing, and he just didn't have it today. And that was one of the things that I was really hoping would be a change would just be an ultimate change in the second half. I thought he'd come on and really just dictate play and just really be able to bring that morale back up, and he wasn't able to do that. So, like I said, bring it on to the second leg of this, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, Doug says Alex looks deflated, and so does Neil. I don't know if we do. I'm more tired. So it's been a long week at work, one of those ones. So I'm glad it's showing, mate, but we do what we can at the moment. But yeah, again, there's nothing too much to talk about. Again, Prague came out slower. We kept giving the ball away, which was really there was a couple of things that we saw from Leicester recent performances. Winning it back in the first third, and defending, not just the defense was okay today, but in terms of CDM and midfield, they didn't really push on to that next level and go, oh, there's a crunching tackle that we're going to give the ball, give it to Telemans, who's going to pass it out wide. So just your thoughts on that. In the midfield, especially from attacking positions, we didn't really do anything that was too threatening to Prague.
No, there was no wow factor today. It just kind of seemed like a mediocre, center midfield at best. Everyone it just kind of seemed like everybody was off today. And that's kind of like the best way to put it. Nothing really seemed to click. Like, we're so used to seeing, this squad click in ways that, is always so shocking, because you don't expect it to go further. And especially after a game like Liverpool, I think a lot of us were expecting this, this really like gelled team that was just going to come flying out at the gate. And we never really did see that. And that was all over the pitch. And, Ndidi didn't have the best game, and same with Tielemans. Madison was there, but he wasn't there at the same time. It just, effort-wise, as the squad as a whole, it wasn't there today. And at the end of the day, like I said, every time I say it, you just got to look at that second leg. We're very lucky to say, you're coming out of this game, with a draw, and you can dictate the game in the second leg.
Yes, and just all things something as well that was mentioning, they've not been beaten at home in the league since 2018. August 2018, I think, is only the commentary said on my end. Also, the only teams that have beaten them at them ground are Chelsea, Dortmund, Inter Milan, and Barcelona. So after hearing that, I was like, okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. Again, that's an industrious group of players and group of teams, but there's a few things we have to consider here. They didn't really have too many opportunities. I think their finishing, especially in the first half, was quite poor. They did have some good movement, but their finishing was not good enough. And in the Premier League, you get punished for them kind of mistakes. So that's something to take away as well. And overall, I think we didn't have we'll mention it again, the amount of injuries we've got. I know that David on our side was saying on the preview, if you go check that out, was saying that they have a lot of injuries as well. However, we didn't really, again, without Ricardo, without Castagna, we missed the width on either side. I mean, we're kind of playing a three at the back with Albright. I'm not sure if the wing back was supposed to be Amarte, or was supposed to be I'm not sure what's happening there. So I'm not too super poised. As you were saying, we'll take it back to our ground. There was some sloppy passing, and again, when you're saying Albrighton and Vardy comes off for Under and Nacho gets that yellow card, which wasn't a yellow card, to be perfectly honest with you. And then Under comes on again, and I was thinking, okay, this is your opportunity for both of you to really shine and to go, right, we'll go win the game, just like Nacho did against Brighton. An opportunity to go and find it, and he didn't really find anything he didn't really go on and push on to that next level, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's what you kind of expecting. You're really expecting it coming off the bench, and we just didn't get any of that. Like I said, deflating. It's definitely a deflating feeling, and it was a deflating result. I don't believe I'm the only one that expected this, to come out with at least a goal. The fact that we were quiet this entire time, it's deflating. We had the opportunity, and that's the thing. And I think today was one of the first times in a very long time that I felt like I was watching, standing up in front of the TV yelling "shoot," and I thought I was watching hockey for a second. I do that every time I watch hockey, so it was a weird feeling just to be incredibly frustrated with the opportunities that we did have, because I know Nacho in the second half had an incredible opportunity to score, and didn't shoot, and that was where I started yelling at the TV, and it's like I said, it's frustrating, and I can't really put it into any better words than that.
It is, and one of the most frustrating things we've mentioned a lot this season, but not of recent. Quover the Bloodless, which again was a fantastic name, by the way. Considering that Vardy's wage is larger than the whole Slavia squad, he should get more than 13 touches of the game. So in 16 minutes, I think I will take you on your word that it's 13 touches. I've not actually had time to look at the stats, too busy setting all this up. The 13 touches is not enough for Vardy, and he wasn't really in too many opportunities, but I think this was just one of the games where everybody had a mare game, and that's okay. We didn't lose, and I don't feel too bad about that, considering what happened.
Yeah, like I said, everyone was off today, and at the end of the day, you take the draw, you move forward, you focus in on the game on Sunday against Aston Villa, and you really need to focus. I think Rodgers is really going to have to, consider who he's going to start, because with Nacho being ineligible for the second half, does he contemplate starting Nacho on Sunday to rest Vardy for Thursday? You're starting to, you're in this weird zone where you have to consider, resting key players in certain matches in order to move forward, because I think we're in this weird position where it's like, okay, if we want to move forward in the Europa League, best decision would be to rest Vardy, have him fit and ready to go for Thursday. You play Nacho on Sunday. If you think that the Premier League is more important at this point, you rest Nacho, and you on Sunday you play Vardy on Sunday, and then you play Vardy again on Thursday. With the injuries that we've had, there's a lot of questions that I think the coaching staff are going to have to sit down, especially before Sunday's game, and be like, okay, who are we starting? Who are we resting? I think that's a huge question that is going to be needing to be answered moving forward.
Yeah. Also, again, I totally agree. And one play before I get into it, I want to get onto this comment, which was, again, we didn't mention in the pre-match commentary, but did you see a lot of the Twitter? I only found out after we did the recording that this was the thing. Again, I said busy. I just didn't have time to go on Twitter that much. Did you see that Slavia channel that he said Kasper Schmeichel was overweight? Personally, I think we both agree. It's just it's just a bit dumb, to be honest, to say something like that. And I think he said later on that Leicester isn't a good player and blah blah blah. And I was like, Leicester isn't a good team. I was like, that's fine. I don't know. I don't get too triggered by things like that. I'm just like, well, you're wrong. You're just like, I'm not too bothered, to be honest.
No, it was more like I kind of, when I saw it pop up on my Twitter feed, I was like, wait, what? Like, I had to do a double take, because I was like, is that seriously what's being talked about over in Prague? And then when I read it again, I was like, wait, Schmeichel wearing a corset? I'm like, okay. But if that's true, you got to give the equipment managers the good old high five today, because that corset was pretty snug today, because he played fantastic. So,
yeah. And you didn't challenge him in the corset anyway.
No, yeah, he was just fantastic.
Yeah, and it was I don't know. I didn't pay too much attention. So I was like, this is not a big deal in my opinion. Another thing that was funny as well was obviously he slagged off the academy slightly as well, and I was like, just wanted Harvey Barnes to score today, just to kind of like show him, well, might be crap, but He didn't beat us, and that would have been quite fun. Anyway, I'm hoping that Barnes takes it to our ground and go, how do you like these apples? And we play. I know we can't play Daily Campbell's not part, but we get Chowdhury gets a couple of goals and things like that as well, which would be quite fun. I wanted to bring it onto Chowdhury actually. So he got subbed on the 76th minute, and in my opinion, from that he was probably our best player.
Oh, hands down. He was exceptional. I thought, he really came on. I thought he was going to be if there was someone that was going to score, I thought, or come up with a really great possession play, it was going to be Chowdhury. So hats off to Chowdhury.
Yeah, sorry, I was just laughing at that. Yeah, he would crack me up. That was brilliant. But yeah, Chowdhury was fantastic going for, again, the cross he did at 60 minutes. I was like, where have you been hiding that? Because I would admit I'm biased. I love Hamza Chowdhury. I'll say that every single time. However, he's adding things to his locker every single game. Like, I didn't know he had we know he has the ability to go forwards and close down players. And that run that he made with the foul, I shall say, where he clipped him slightly, the player went down like he was shot with a sniper rifle from like 400 yards. And then Chow was like, what's going on? But his run was really good. His ball in, I mean, Maddison would have looked at that and went, wow, that was impressive, wasn't it? Because, again, you could tell at 76 minutes, let's just settle for the draw. Brendan Rodgers would probably say, tactically wise, we weren't trying to win. We weren't going for that extra. We weren't playing well, so we take the draw. And I think that's okay. But Chowdhury, again, just if he can keep this up, I mean, it is going to be immense because he outshone Ndidi for lots of parts of that game. And again, we love Ndidi on the show. We've talked so many times about how hard he was. Didn't have the best games today. However, when Chowdhury came in, it was that burst of fresh energy. And maybe he was invigorated by the talking about the comments about the club, about I'm forgetting the word, about the academy, and he would have gone, right, okay, I'm going to show you what it's done, and it was good fun. But however, I think Hamza Chowdhury definitely deserves some things today, some shout outs today.
Yeah, he like I said before, he really, I think one of the biggest things for him is that, when the opportunity for him to go out on loan to Newcastle fell through, and Rodgers really giving him the opportunity, being like, I'm going to play you. That's just going to happen. I think he really took that as a challenge, and since then he's been quite good. But that's what you want to see, because you want to see those types of players challenge. And these players are going to challenge, the starting lineup, and even if they can, get on the bench and be like, hey, I'm going to take you out at the 60th minute. I'm coming on for the last 30. That means it gives me another opportunity to be like, hey, I'm going to bump you out of your spot. It's healthy competition, and seeing that from Chowdhury is great, because that's what you want to see from some of your younger players.
Yeah, I totally agree, and especially from the academy, is something that would have been quite fun. Again, going back to the point, to see him score. But just coming on towards the end, I think with again, everybody would kind of agree there wasn't too many talking points or anything massive. I mean, Barnes had that chance in the first half to put it through the legs. He nearly did. Good goalkeeping by Prague. We didn't really turn up. There wasn't really anything too much. Again, there was a couple of chances after about 80 to 83 minutes, which I thought all we could see of the game didn't quite work out. But overall, can't be too disappointed with the result, and we just take them back and we look ahead to, we dropped this result. I feel better about this result than I did about the Wolves result. So I'd look at it that way, and you never know. This draw away could, just like the Wolves result, doesn't look as bad if we have the home result as well on our side.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I think if this game was at the King Power, we'd be talking about this in a completely different way, because that means we're going into their territory, we're going into their home stadium. It's a huge it's mind games at that point. I think the biggest thing for us is we're coming home. We're going to play our game in the King Power next Thursday. That's on our side. Yeah, we haven't been the best this season at home, but it's still our home stadium. And I think that's one thing that doesn't change.
Yes, just before we finish, I just want to share some of the match stats. So hopefully we'll see if we can get this working. Just on this end. It works, fantastic. So obviously we've got some player ratings on the BBC Match of the Day. Here, Nacho's quite bottom, which is quite funny, but not too disappointed with that. Chowdhury's low. Get Chowdhury up there, people. That's not good enough. Anyway, again, I'm biased, I don't care. Match stats, again, 1 shot on target, which isn't good. 14 shots, three on target. So nothing to, again, 53% possession. It felt like we had less, to be perfectly honest with you. But overall, can't complain too much with the result. We take them back. We should make a video of us roasting Slavia players. Nah, that's all right. We'll be okay. I think it's not really our thing. And also, hey, Yeti boy, do it for your channel, mate. You've got a YouTube channel. You've got everything sorted. You go do that. I'm not too bothered about roasting them. And also, they might not be able to take it. You see how little touches today they found. They were going over like that tomorrow. So that's my roasting done for the day. But thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure to check out the channel in terms of we have an interview with Leicester City women. Hannah and James have done a fantastic interview with the manager of Leicester City women, Jonathan Morgan. So make sure you check that one out. It's a really, really good watch. And yes, so make sure to like, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Leave your comments below and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you for all your comments. They were coming in thick and fast today, and we tried to get to them, as many of them as we can. And we'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.